overcome that, work on that, work on feeling better than, and trying to find a substitute to make you feel better. I digress.
I always profile my presentations when it comes to drugs about it's about feeling and not feeling. That's it. Those are the only two factors that are being weighed in when somebody considers or uses a drug. They want to feel something or they want to stop feeling something.
And that's the whole. And we've all been through that. Through one level or another. One person's level of addiction is no different from another because both of them will kill you. If you're not taking any drugs, you're just stressing over something. That stress can kill you if you don't know how to handle it. So we have to learn how to handle situations without using prescription, without using street drugs, and sometimes without talking to somebody. Because if we sit there and roll that situation over in our minds over and over, we'll learn how to deal with it. I mean, because God built us that way. But we look for outside help. We look for an easy way out. And that's where the problem lies. I digress.
Yeah, moreover, that's why weed, marijuana has become so popular as an anesthetic and as an antidote to feeling or not feeling, because they claim it to be harmless. However, these are statistics. The number one cause for traffic fatality is alcohol usage, drunk driving. Number two, believe it or not, is texting while driving. Number three is marijuana usage. However, they mask the marijuana usage with, if you taking marijuana and you took a pill, or you're taking marijuana and you drank something, or you're taking marijuana and you snorted something, then they don't call it marijuana causation. They call it polydrug causation, because they don't want to pull the covers off the fact that this marijuana that these people are smoking now, it is not just natural, it is supernatural. It has potency that it's astral. It's just like you build tolerance with it so quick because the potency is just so intense, right? That's why I look at these young groups, when coming to our group, they so stuck at 14, 15, 16 that they have to, before they come into the group, or sometimes they smoke marijuana in the building, in the square one time. Right. Because they're stuck.
And see, here's the thing with that, Marvell. See, we have to understand, when I was coming up, it was all homegrown. Everything was homegrown. There weren't no dispensaries. There wasn't no big marijuana farms and stuff like that when I was coming up in the 60s when I started. As I got older, people learned how to up the potency of it. Let it stay in the sun long, put it in the fall, then they started adding additives to it, which back then were natural, back in the 70s. But then as it progressed, once the white man got a hold of it, and they started growing it over in Australia, just overseas, because I can't think of the name right now.
I'll take over. I'll give you the dot.
That's happening.
In the early 80s, in Copenhagen, Sweden, in Denmark. Denmark is a major conduit for drug transport, because it's off the water, off the dock, and all that, and it's really a popular place for drug usage. They first started allowing people to shoot dope and giving them, you can shoot dope and open and all that stuff. You walk down and you're looking at prostitutes standing in the window. You can buy it. So it's one of them kind of places. But they love marijuana, but they couldn't. It would cost too much to export. So this guy named Arian Hopskar decided to try to cultivate marijuana in his basement, and he started using the lamps. And he started really creating the potency, turning the plants upside down, using the lamps and the heating system and all that, and he mastered it. And when he mastered it, marijuana sales was not legal in any of the states. But guess how he penetrated that market? He sold the seeds as souvenirs. And people were buying the seeds all over the world because of the potency of marijuana that he was selling. And that's how it started. And then they got the formula and everybody started doing it, using lamps and using all kinds of systems
I'm gonna tell you something,
massive potency and gets it to the highest degree of potency that you could ever expect a plant to get.
Marvell, if I may, I'm going to tell you something. We used lamps. We used hanging it upside down for years back in the 70s. I grew up reading High Time magazine. Everything was listed in there before it became what it is now. It's when the government started to using it as for medicinal purposes so they could take control of things, so they can learn, so they can start to tax it. Then that's when they start upping the dosage to where it made it dangerous for some people, because some people couldn't take the coughing. Some people take cough too hard, they bust their heart. So that's what really happened. And man, with our dumbness, we want the most powerful thing there is. And then they started mixing it with everything. When in the 80s, they had they mixed marijuana, PCP, and crack cocaine and call it the bomb. And people were dying from it then. So being in the streets, I learned a lot of things I stayed away from because I didn't need it. And that's what we have to do. We have to get back to thinking for ourselves. We can't look at someone else and say, oh, I could do that. I could do that. No, we can't. Some people run faster than others. And some people try to run that fast and they die. I know track stars that died from running. They were healthy as a horse, but they killed over trying to beat somebody else. We have to stay in our own lane. That's the thing. Stay in your lane. You know, a carpenter, if he don't know how to weld, he should not pick up a torch. He gonna hurt somebody or hurt himself. So that's what we have to get back to. We all have a purpose. Work your purpose, not somebody else's. But everybody, I could do that. I could do that. They see somebody else doing something, they want to jump on that. No, do what you do. Then this thing will work out good. If everybody, you got a big ship. If everybody want to drive the ship, who gonna?
Something go wrong?
Yes, please.
Hello?
Hello. Go ahead, Rev.
Either. Go ahead.
There's a whole picture up there. Rev got the flow. Go ahead.
I was just saying hello because it got quiet.
Oh, okay.
I'm just listening.
Yeah. Grand Risings.
Just listen to the.
Good morning, everyone.
Just let
Hey,
y'all.
Michelle. You, Michelle.
Grand Rising. Yeah, I had to just change it because I don't think my doctor knows me as Miss Chocolate, so I'm just gonna be.
Oh, okay. Well,
So I just changed the name, but he will be chiming in about 9:30. So whoever has the host, Tanisha, I don't know exactly what number he's going to be calling from. I don't know what it's going to say, but he should be coming in about 9:30. I yield.
we'll be ready. We to be ready. This should be a great listening session.
Hold on. Somebody calling me. I don't know who it is. Hold on.
That's personal. You there, Sister Clarice?
Yes, I am.
How do those greens look? How are they? Have you tried them yet, or?
They're in my fridge. I gotta go today because I go through wash them, then I gotta soak them, then I gotta wash them.
Okay.
So everything that was a root, that was the green plat, right? For the
Okay.
greens.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes. So, most, like I said, just make sure that all of them are green root from the greens. Cause I just out here just to pick.
But anything you pulled from the root was a green plant. Wasn't any other kind of? Because some of I'll send you a picture of it. I wasn't quite sure initially. It was small.
Hey, you want sure? Yeah, throw that away.
Okay.
Throw that away, dear.
Okay.
That might be hemlock. It might be hemlock. Throw that one away.
Okay, it's like a bunch of little.
Yeah. I'm not too sure of that, so it may be hemlock. So throw that one away.
Okay.
Don't break it. Don't bend it. Just toss it.
Okay. I'll do that.
All righty. I'm gonna show y'all the progress that I done made so far.
Hey, let's see what you did from the other day until today. And it's a nice day today. Got the sun gleaming out there.
Every day is a beautiful day.
Wow, beautiful. That's what you did. Wow, by yourself. Whoa, Mark.
Ain't nothing too hard for God. You just gotta let the God in.
Wow.
Sometimes we have to shut off.
How many things of greens you think you pulled up? How many things you pulled up so far?
I gave Sister Clarice a big garbage bag full.
And it's in a sit on the side of the house full, huh?
I gave another guy a garbage bag half the size of what I gave her. And there's still some out here. There's some coming up there.
I see. Yeah. I was just talking about, I just posted online how family of four, you're taking some Tupperware and some little, the little things in your own yard, and you can grow you a few things for family of four. I just posted that today.
Mm-hmm. Well, in school, most of the kids, they started growing bean plants in cups. They started growing cups. So it's easy to grow food. That's why I say a 5-gallon bucket, you can grow enough to feed your family.
Exactly, and that's what I posted online today.
And if you're a craftsman, you can build planter boxes and stack them, or you can go to the store now and buy plastic.
The Tupperware box.
Yeah, that opens up, they spread out and they close up, and you can put multiple plants in there. So, it's easy to sustain yourself. You just got to have the willingness and the know-how. As I say, some things we don't know how to be meditate and allow God to do it. God will do it for you. Because our minds we don't utilize our total minds. But God in us can utilize it all. He can make things happen. It's just like with this yard. The weed eater that I had was broke. But the God in me said, well, you can screw some blades on that piece that you got and work it, and it's working. I have to stop and screw the blade back on every now and then, but it's been working. Until I can afford to buy the proper attachment so I can do it. Like I said, it'd be a little faster, but hey, it's getting it done. It's getting it done. All this is all. I just thank God for made it up. Okay, you're breaking up a little bit. Fathering on and figuring that out.
Well, I probably go out just on to break up, Mr. Mark.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Maybe it could be the wind,
I was just sitting through meditation. I say meditation, you have to do certain things.
No, you're not coming through well at all.
Oh, well, that's all right. And back to work.
I put in the chat just how you can just take like the little plastic Tupperware containers that he was kind of speaking about. And there's just some images that you can just put like 2 broccoli crowns in there. A few other things. I think Casey Grover is just now coming into the room. I'm a chocolate. Here comes the doctor, everyone, I believe.
Okay, that's him.
Ashe.
Oh, you let him in. Okay, you got him. Good.
Hello, welcome in.
Hello. Hey, Dr. Grover. Hi. Let me start off by introducing Dr. Grover. Everyone, this is Dr. Casey Grover. He is the emergency medicine and addiction doctor from Community Hospital of Monterey Peninsula. He is my son's doctor, and he is treating him. He has been treating him for the past a little bit over a year, right, doctor? And so this is my family from Sacramento, all over California, basically. And we want you to enlighten us on the opioid, fentanyl addiction, giving us some information on the usage, what it looks like if you can, and then, what you have done since dealing with this drug, if that makes sense. I yield. Good morning.
Morning. Well, Michelle, thank you so much for hosting me and giving me the opportunity to work with you and your family. My name's Casey. I spent years in the emergency department as a doctor and have moved on to addiction medicine. I got really tired of folks coming to the ER with addiction problems, and I wasn't able to help. Let me tell you kind of what I do, and specifically around fentanyl. Addiction for me is really trying to understand what a person's feeling. I go to a lot of schools and talk to kids, and if I go to a school and I ask the kids what do they want to be when they grow up, nobody says in jail, nobody says homeless, nobody says addicted, nobody says they're a victim of an overdose. This is never something that people want in their lives. And yet, many of my patients, that's where they are. And they have a life story. Many of them have a lot of trauma. And I try to understand that. And I'm going to exaggerate to make a point that a lot of my patients don't have cravings for drugs and alcohol. They just have really negative emotions or feelings or traumas that they don't know what to do with. And a lot of what addiction is the brain being tricked that the substance makes things better. So a person who's got a real traumatic history, the fentanyl might calm them down temporarily, but it leads to harm over time. So a lot of what I do is trying to understand people's histories, why they use, what they use, how what they use affects their brain, and then I try to help them transition from using things that they come to themselves from the street or the liquor store to medicines with me and therapy and learning better strategies to cope with the difficulties of life. And so fentanyl specifically is a major problem. It's very different from opioids that we've had in the past. We don't fully understand why, but America's relationship with opioids started back in the 1970s. We started to be told as doctors that opioids were safely, which was never done before, really. And so we started in the 1980s and 90s experimenting more with opioids, and then doctors were told they're not addictive, go freely prescribe, and we did. And to be honest, we didn't know what we were doing. We hurt a lot of people. We didn't understand that when people are on opioids regularly, it changes the brain chemistry, and so when they stop, they feel sick, they feel withdrawal, and it's miserable. And so a lot of patients that were put on pills, once they started to use more of them and their doctor was suspicious about them having a problem, the doctor would say, this medicine's a problem. What do we do with the problem medicines? We discontinue them. And so people were sick, they didn't know what to do, and heroin was there. So that's how a lot of people transitioned. And then if you're in the market of distributing drugs, fentanyl's fantastic, right? It's synthetic, it's made in a lab, it can be made in bigger quantities, it's easy to smuggle, it's very potent. Making heroin requires a lot of, resources. You have to farm it, process it, you have to not have the land seized by law enforcement. And the amount of fentanyl that will fit in a sugar packet is enough to sell for a dealer 40,000 doses on the street. So it's just compact, made in a lab, and easy to smuggle. And fentanyl is a lot stronger than other opioids, particularly heroin. And so people get, I guess the simplest way to say it is much more addicted to it. Treating them becomes a lot harder because it has a more profound effect on the brain. And so it used to be fairly easy to get people from like morphine or Vicodin to treatment or heroin to treatment. And now with fentanyl, man, it's a beast. A lot of my patients really struggle transitioning from fentanyl to the medicine that I use the most, which is called Suboxone. And a lot of times we struggle to get people on methadone because they just need a lot more opioid than the methadone gives them. In terms of what I believe as a doctor, addiction is probably the most judged condition of anything I've come across. You know, healthcare providers unfortunately judge patients all the time, and that's one of the things I lecture on professionally. I lecture on to doctors and nurses about judgment that patients feel, and I think addiction patients are judged the most. So in our clinic, we try to create an environment of respect. I try to get to know families if I can, and I just want my patients to feel safe and welcome when they come to CDS, because even if they're not ready for treatment that day, if they have a good experience, hopefully they'll come back. So Michelle, I think I'll stop there and just say that's kind of an overview, and if folks have specific questions, I'd love to chat, but again, I'm honored to be here.
Yes, I have a question. May I?
Yes, please.
What I never asked you. How long does fentanyl stay in the body? Because we know sometimes, I think, if I'm not mistaken, marijuana stays in your system for 30 days. How long does fentanyl before it wears out before someone can say, "I'm clean"? Are you?
Yes. So it's a great question. So essentially, what we have to understand is how the drug dissolves in the body. So the fatty tissue in our body that we all have doesn't have a lot of blood supply. So when something gets stuck in the fatty tissue, it stays there for a very long time because there's not a lot of blood supply to flush it out. So cannabis, the chemical in cannabis that we use or we test for is THC. And the THC is what's called lipophilic, meaning it dissolves in the fatty tissue. So that's why it stays so long in the body. Fentanyl is interesting. When I was an ER doctor, I actually thought fentanyl was a really useful medicine because somebody would come in, they've got a broken bone or something hurts, and I would give them a dose of fentanyl. We'd run whatever tests they needed or put them in a cast or put them in some sort of brace to make them more comfortable, and it would wear off after about 2 hours. It was fast on, fast off. For comparison, heroin lasts more like 6 to 8 hours. But what's interesting is when people use fentanyl heavily outside of a medical setting, the fentanyl acts differently. So fentanyl, it turns out, is also lipophilic. It gets stored in the fatty tissues of the body. So I've had some patients that are very heavy users that test positive even 2 weeks or more after their last use.
Thank you.
I have a question. I don't know. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I just had a heart attack on Valentine's Day. Lovely day to have it. And almost jumped up off the gurney when the doctor said, "Well, we're just going to induce you with this and some fentanyl." Like, some what? She's like, "Well, it's not the same as the one on the street." What is the difference between the one on the street and the one they give you in the hospital? And how did it come to be like it is on the street? What do they add to it? Some bleach or some garbage?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. I had a lot of patients do the same with me when I was still working in the ER. So 5 years ago, if I said, "We're going to give you some fentanyl," people would be like, "I have no idea what that is. I trust your doctor." Today, people are very scared, and that's an appropriate reaction. So here's how this works. So fentanyl and all other drugs in that class, which are called opioids, they're dosed by weight. If I were a patient in the ER today, I might get 50 micrograms of fentanyl. So the doctor looks at me, let's say it's, my daughter, she's 5'4", 130 pounds. We might give her 25 micrograms of fentanyl. It's from the pharmacy, so they dissolve the fentanyl in a solution, and the nurse will actually draw up in the syringe exactly how much fentanyl that the patient is supposed to get based on the person's size. Now, somebody might have other medical conditions that make them more sensitive to fentanyl, or they've been on opioids before, so they have a tolerance. But I mean, it's a medical decision. It's a doctor level decision to understand exactly how much fentanyl to give, and there's nothing else in it except the solution that it's dissolved in, which you can think of more or less like IV fluids. Now, on the street, it can be the same fentanyl molecule, but it's not prepared accurately. So literally, it's a few grains, like grains of sugar. That's the difference between someone getting fentanyl that makes their pain go away and fentanyl that makes them stop breathing. So you can imagine a large pharmaceutical company has all the tools to make it so that we can exactly dose the fentanyl. But on the street, it's often being made in a kitchen, in a lab, where somebody's just kind of counting roughly how much to give. So the amount of fentanyl that will kill a person is 2,000 micrograms, and that translates to 2 milligrams. That's not a lot of just stuff. So the issue is on the street is that the dosage varies widely because they're made imprecisely. And then there's all these other fentanyls. So fentanyl, because it's made in a lab, they can just add a side group through a chemical reaction. So like you could add a methyl group and now it's methylfentanyl. You can add an acetyl group and now it's acetylfentanyl. So what we're finding is that we have all these other fentanyls and we don't know anything about them. They were never medicines. They're essentially research chemicals. So that's part one, which is that there are other fentanyls that may be in the drug, or it's just not dosed very precisely because it's being made in a makeshift drug lab. And then the second part is that stuff being mixed into drugs has been going on for a very long time. I mean, essentially, cutting drugs is color matching, right? If you have a white powder and you want to triple your product, you divide it into 3 piles and then you mix in a powder of the similar color. So yes, in addition to there being other stuff in the drug supply like talc or baking soda or laundry detergent, powdered milk, there can be all sorts of those contaminants as well. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah.
I have a question.
I wish they really wouldn't have told me, because I think that in some perspective, because apparently it's for pain that they give it, I take it.
Correct.
So
yes,
them telling me could have made me go chase it if I would have got out, say for instance, I got this pain, like, well, shoot, I know fentanyl works, so I got to go find that. I would advise not to even tell a patient. If you're going to give it to them, apparently they're not going to say no because they don't know if they're going to be addicted to it or what the side effects. It's like taking most things. It always has a side effect. So telling people gives them that gateway to go get it, because I was really
it's a bit of a
adamant
mixed
against
bag because I think in this current era of fentanyl, if somebody found out they got it without knowing, they might be really upset. So generally speaking, we're taught to explain to people what we're doing, but your point's very well taken.
Yeah.
If I may, Doctor, I'm curious to know what are the compounds that make the fentanyl that's being distributed on the street compared to the fentanyl that's administered in the hospital? Because I've heard and been told that there's all kinds of different toxins. I've heard some things that doesn't make sense when you talk about them individually, but when they're in compound together, they create this drug. So have you noticed any real clear distinctions between what exists to make up the medicinal fentanyl and the street fentanyl?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit, well, again, let me answer the question in 2 ways. So the first is you can go online right now and buy fentanyl. It is sold by pharmaceutical companies in other countries, and you can have it delivered to your door. I don't know what the kind of supervising process or quality assurance process is in pharmaceutical companies in other countries. I know our pharmaceutical companies are generally held to a pretty high level of scrutiny. But if you go to a hospital, it has to be pharmaceutical grade, meaning it can't be contaminated. It can't have any sort of infection in it. It has to be sterile. And really what the pharmaceutical grade fentanyl is the actual molecule fentanyl itself. And then it's in what's called a diluent, which basically means it's a solution that can be safely put into a vein that is inert. It doesn't do anything. So it might be against something like fentanyl and saline, which is an IV fluid. On the flip side, and I can send this to Michelle to distribute to the group, the news agency Reuters in July actually went online, and the article is called "We Bought Everything Needed to Make $3 million Worth of Fentanyl. All it took was $3,600 in a web browser." So some of the journalists are actually researching just how easy it is to get the precursor chemicals to make fentanyl. Now, that being said, and this goes back to what's laced into the drug, we are finding that methamphetamine is getting laced into the fentanyl on the street, and vice versa. The cocaine and methamphetamine are also containing fentanyl. So that what we see then is somebody who has no tolerance, not used to opioids at all, is overdosing because they think they're getting an upper, not a downer. So I think there's two components to it. Is one is pharmaceutical grade fentanyl in the United States contains an inert liquid and then the fentanyl itself. And beyond that, it's anyone's guess, unfortunately.
Mercy.
Yeah, and I'll email this article to Michelle that talks about how some journalists went online and bought supplies to make fentanyl for very little money.
And see, that was my next question, was how it got to the streets. And there should be some law that regulates them dispelling that information out to the public. It's like it was intentionally done.
You mean the news article?
And so there need to be some type of way that we could hold them accountable for what they've done and prosecute them to the highest, level we can. I digress.
Do you mean the journalists or the drug distributors?
Well, the journalists, because they're the ones that put the information out there.
It's a really interesting question. So what I see in the world of drug policy is that most people don't understand addiction at its core. And I think articles like this help me as a doctor because they raise public awareness of just how easy it is to get. Unfortunately, as I see it, supply is not the problem. As an example, there was a seizure of 8 pounds of fentanyl in Monterey like 18 months ago. 8 pounds of fentanyl is enough to kill like 2 million people. So there's so much of it out there that the supply has really stopped being the problem. It's really more that people, when they want help, can find it. But your point is well taken that giving people information about how to make fentanyl is maybe not our best idea.
Yeah, I look at it as a part of chemical warfare.
Understood.
That's all it is, chemical warfare, just as all the other chemically compounded drugs on the streets. I blame the government for it.
Yeah.
I digress.
I don't know if this question got answered earlier, but by me being cut underneath the knife, and they try to give me opioids to heal me up. And when I was in the hospital, the morphine was something they gave me, but they found out I was allergic to it in the end because I guess it was just too much for my body. Like you were saying, the height and weight does a lot to how much that person can take. And so I'm wondering, like, since I didn't get addicted to the morphine, and if someone was to have got addicted to that because y'all giving it to us in the hospital for our pain, so y'all giving the opioids for us to get addicted to it, but when you come from the hospital, it's a different level, because when I was in the hospital, you guys' medicine that comes through the mask, whatever it is, I felt no pain at all, but you get home, and you have to deal with a different kind of pain, it's a different kind of medicine that you give me that we have to cope to, to deal. It's not the same medicine that we have in the hospital. It's something that you give me to cope with. It's not as strong with what's there. So to where what I had, then you broke it down to oxycodone, and I think it was oxycontin, to where one was a fast release, slow release. But if I was one of those kind of patients that someone told me, hey, I see the best time people turn on opioids due to pain. If I didn't have the education to give me the marijuana at the time to heal me instead, that I use instead of the opioids, because I know I wanted to do the weed, I wanted to do that, I don't want to use it to any of it. But the weed in a way helped me at the same time. It's just knowing that exercise and to eat certain foods and stuff can help us more better. But when those have been cutting that knife and using certain foods and opioids, those can get addicted. So you think that your patients, since you guys giving them that pain that you said earlier in a way, it kind of make them addicted to getting on the street to where when they have opioids, you guys take it away from them. So if they had big issues, which I know people, my family have issues, and that's really pain issue because they're their past. They feel because they're addicted people and you treat them bad, or you've been this type of person before, we're not going to give you this type of help to help you. So they have no choice but to go out to the streets to go get it because you guys are turning them down, giving them stuff for their pain. No, they need it because they had overused it in your terms of how they overuse it, and then there's no kind of accommodation for it, but it's the same thing that keep y'all getting y'all money though, you know what I mean? Even though they get on the street, but it's kind of hard to stop the streets now when the government is putting it out there for us, and y'all giving it to them, we don't know how to gravitate to it to heal us back again. So I think that's part of the addiction problem. So there's no alternative for the patients, and that's why they go and they research out there because you're not giving them the proper medications they really need to help them cope with the pain that they need. I don't know if you asked that earlier, but I do, if that makes sense. So I was trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess there's a couple of things, which is the first is that treating pain, there's actually quite a few options. And I'll give you an example. So I was asked to teach at a hospital up in the Bay Area about pain management. And I talked about maybe 7 or 8 different medicines that we were using at our hospital in Monterey. And they looked at me like I was from some other planet. They were like, what are you talking about? All we have for pain management at our hospital is Tylenol, Tylenol, Advil, and morphine. So essentially what they were saying is like, we give Tylenol and Motrin, and if it's not better, you get morphine. And at our hospital, we do IV lidocaine, we do topical lidocaine patches, we use TENS units, we do trigger point release, we do IV anti-inflammatories, we have IV Tylenol, we have all these IV meds for migraines. So what we've learned is that we need to maximize what are called alternatives to opioids. Because untreated pain really weighs on people's psyche. So when I started my training in 2006 as a medical student, it was like what you were saying. We'll just give them loads of opiates and hope it goes well. And that was really wrong. You were very right there. So I think what I do now is if someone has to be on an opioid, I try to use the lowest dose for the shortest period of time. And then I use the other agents. It's called multimodal. The way it makes sense in my brain is that it's like you combine medicine type 1, medicine type 2, and medicine type 3, and it has an additive effect, so you get 4 levels of relief. So I deeply understand what you're saying, that, like they gave me medicine, my pain was better, but it's potentially addictive. What do I do? There are also other opioids that are less addictive. We use one opioid in addiction called Suboxone, and it actually also works for pain and it's less euphoric. So I think to your point, I can say in my practice, I've learned a lot over the last 10 years that what you said is spot on, and we've worked to try to come up with better alternatives, but I don't know how widely adopted that is.
And my last question, when your patients come in, I know you guys have to do blood work and stuff when they come in. What has came up weird in you know what I'm saying, I feel like toxins, what can y'all see that came in with that drug? Like, can you tell if it mixed with other kind of stuff, and do y'all document that?
Yes, that's a great question. So there's various types of testing. Most hospital labs have very primitive testing around drugs and alcohol. So really any hospital can order what's called an alcohol level, which is we see how much alcohol is in the blood. And then most hospitals can do what's called a urine drug test. I have to be clear, there's several types. The types that most hospitals use is not as precise. It's a screening test, and it basically gives you a yes, no, but you can have false positives and false negatives. I'll give you an example. So Benadryl, the over-the-counter allergy medicine, can cause a false positive for PCP. So what we do in my office, I'm really lucky, I don't know how this happened, but I get really lucky, is we do a different type of urine drug testing where they use a different type of technology, and we get very exact results. So I can tell my patients who are trying to quit smoking their nicotine levels last week compared to this week. So we test for tranq, that's xylazine, that's an animal tranquilizer in the drug supply. And then we test for some of these weird fentanyls like furanylfentanyl, acetylfentanyl, acrylfentanyl, parafluorofentanyl, carfentanyl. And we just had a meeting with the lab to be able to test for more. And then my hospital in Monterey has a partnership with the California Department of Public Health, where we basically send people's blood just for random testing, just to get a sense of what's in the drug supply. I'll read you what's in the drug supply.
I went to school for medical assistant and stuff, so I'm already on a whole boat with you.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm doing this type of stuff. I'm glad that you're that kind of doctor. I salute you.
Yeah, so we tested positive in Monterey County for acrylfentanyl, carfentanyl, butyrylfentanyl, 4-fluorofentanyl, acetylfentanyl, methoxyfentanyl, benzylfentanyl, norfentanyl, and then that was all the fentanyls. So we're trying to get a sense of what's going on. And when my patients come in to me, I show them the test, and I'm like, this is what's in your system. And they'll ask me, like, doctor, what's benzylfentanyl? And I'm like, I don't know. It's a research chemical. It was never meant to be a medicine.
May I?
Yeah, please.
Okay, yes, go ahead, Michelle. And then we have Reggie's in the room, his hand up also, so I shake.
Okay. So what I want to ask you, Dr. Grover, I want you to explain to the panel what the injection that Ronsil has in his stomach and what it does. But then also, because he, this is what I have done in the past and what I want to continue to do. If I find paraphernalia of my sons, right? If I find any paraphernalia, I normally Ziploc it, and I would like to take it to you. So, is there a way that you can test what he's been taking? Because I don't actually see what he actually uses until the after. I only see the foil. It's being black. Or I'll see the empty baggie, and so I don't know what it is. So I used to package it up, but I haven't seen it lately. But and then my last question is, because he's being tested, he has some legal issues that he has to be tested today. Okay, how can I, knowing that it's probably still in his system, what do I need, or what does he need to do to let the officer know that, hey, I am not using, but this is still in my system. How do we help him so he won't go to jail? Because I know that it's still in his system.
Yeah. So let me take your questions one at a time. The easy one is, yes, Michelle, I can test his supply. We have a laser up at the hospital that allows me to basically scan a powder or a pill to see what it shows up as. So I can definitely do that. Let's talk about the shot. Okay, so people, when they're trying to understand addiction, they'll think, okay, the person's using this substance, morphine, heroin, fentanyl, those are opioids. When a person uses them regularly, the brain chemistry changes and they get dependent on the opioid, meaning when they stop, they go into withdrawal. And I hear all the time, well, you're giving them Suboxone or methadone, you're just changing one drug for another. Let me explain why. So no one on planet Earth can make opioid dependence and withdrawal get better quickly on its own. So if I were to be given fentanyl for 2 weeks, I would be dependent on opioids and I would have to go through withdrawal to get off of them. I can't make it get better any faster. There are medicines I can give, like to make a person feel better, like if they're nauseated, we give them nausea medicines. But if a person's dependent on opioids, I can't fix that. Methadone is an opioid that has less ability to get people high. So we give it to people on opioids so they stop using their old drug, and then they just take methadone because they're not in withdrawal. Suboxone's the same way. Suboxone is an opioid that's very interesting. It doesn't get people high, it treats the dependence, it treats the withdrawal, and it actually blocks other opioids if you take it. And the Sublocade shot is a once-a-month shot of the Suboxone. So when Ron Sell comes to see me and I give him his shot, I am so happy because that medicine, Suboxone, is in his system for the next 6 weeks, and it blocks other opioids. So if he has a slip-up, he's not going to have an overdose. And essentially, we give the shot, it reduces cravings, it manages the withdrawal, and I know that even if he has a bad day and he uses, he's not going to die. So that is my preferred treatment. And then we can eventually manage the opioid dependence later, right? So when a person's new in recovery, they've still got a lot of strong emotions, they might still be craving. I don't offer to take people off of either methadone or Suboxone for somewhere between about 6 months and 2 years so that they can build up their recovery skills. So without the medicine, they're still okay. And then usually we get them off and manage their opioid dependence by weaning slowly over several months.
So you're hoping us to do things to wean them off of it.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And then, Michelle, to answer your question, in terms of a drug test, it depends. There's 2 types of drug tests. So the one I mentioned that most of the hospitals do that's not that accurate, that's called an immunoassay. And basically what it is it's looking at the shape of the molecules. The little drug test has little antibodies, and if a drug binds to the antibody because the shape is the same, then it lights up as a positive. So it turns out Benadryl and PCP are structurally kind of similar, so that's why the Benadryl makes the PCP turn positive. We do the test. I think we use liquid chromatography, mass spectrometry, liquid chromatography. It's a whole different technique. We don't get errors. We only get true results because of the technology. The first test is called a screening, which there can be false positives and false negatives. And then the second test is considered confirmatory because there aren't any errors. So I think, Michelle, we need to find out what type of test he's going to get. Is it the screener or the confirmatory? And if he has a positive on the screener, then the answer is he needs a confirmatory test to prove. The other thing is it'd be reasonable for him to share that he had a slip up. He's working with his doctor. I don't know how the probation officer is going to handle that, but I usually tell my patients, like, if you need a letter from me that I'm treating you and this is what I'm doing and I'm doing your drug testing, usually my understanding is that the probation officers want to see that folks are engaged and getting help. I realize the legal system isn't really fair to everyone, but I certainly try to help my patients as best I can. If he has had a slip up and it's going to result in some jail time, I don't know if I have a good answer on that. I think the answer would be is I have something to the effect of I disclosed it with my doctor. I'm working on it. I can certainly reach out to one of my colleagues who has more legal expertise if you want a better answer, Michelle.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, so could we let Reg in and see if he wants to comment? And then I have a question I'd like to pose to the floor.
Sounds good.
All right, first of all, thanks, Doc, man. Appreciate you spending your time to educate us, man. Much appreciated. Because we need to know this. This is the new era. What's going on. Back in the days, you used to have just weed, but now everything else going crazy. But first, I want to do a little personal one. You mentioned nicotine earlier. I'm an e-smoker. I stopped smoking cigarettes for probably about 5 years. And you said something about the height, the level of nicotine. Can nicotine alone kill you? I have 2 questions. Can it kill you by itself? Second question is about the fentanyl. It said you can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. How is it taken? Can you take it in a drink? I know they talk about it sprinkling on weed. That's pretty much what I have. Thanks, Doc.
Yeah, you bet. First of all, I'm happy to be here. I am so grateful for Michelle for including me. So nicotine, largely the issue with nicotine is how we use it. So in cigarettes, we inhale all of the toxins. The nicotine in and of itself really isn't that dangerous. The only time where nicotine is going to be a problem is if you're like in the hospital with a heart condition. Let's say somebody has a heart attack and they smoke. The doctors actually will wait a week before they give them like nicotine gum after the heart attack because nicotine can cause the blood vessels to tighten. So that's really the only time we say no to nicotine is when someone's heart is freshly recovering. So like if you use nicotine gum and you don't smoke, that's great. You can be on that for a long time. The other ways we use nicotine is chewing tobacco, and that obviously causes inflammation in the lip and the tongue and increases the risk of oral cancer. And vaping is interesting. We think vaping is safer, but we don't know yet. And the reason I say that is cigarettes kill about 500,000 people every year, but they don't kill people quickly. People die of a fentanyl overdose in minutes. People die from smoking over like 50 years. So we don't know because vaping's only been around for about 20 years. So we will probably know in another 20 the long-term effects of vaping. What I can tell you is the vape juice contains 4 things. Contains the drug, contains a flavor, it contains a chemical to stabilize it from the heat, which is called vegetable glycerin. It's a plant fat. And then it contains the stuff that actually makes the vapor. And usually that's propylene glycol, propylene glycerol, or ethylene glycol, which if you're into cars, you recognize as antifreeze. So when you vape and you bring that stuff in, that what actually looks like smoke and vapor is hot aerosolized antifreeze.
Right. Now, vaping is not good for weed or the nicotine part. Like vaping is just not good. I heard.
Well, so there's a couple of parts to it. So we don't know the long-term side effects. When I educate youth about this, I try to be funny. I'm like, vaping in 20 years, we might tell you makes you taller, faster, and that your hair looks better. Like, we just don't know. We haven't had it long enough yet. But what I can tell you as a doctor, there's only one thing that's supposed to go into your lungs, which is air, right? Any chemical in the lungs may cause some damage, but we don't know yet. And then the other thing that's really interesting about vaping is it allows for much higher doses of nicotine and THC. So a cigarette, right, is basically rolled paper with dried tobacco leaf in it. And the average cigarette contains around 10 milligrams of nicotine. But if you think about it, you light a cigarette and it burns. If you just sit and hold it, it'll burn and all that smoke and nicotine goes out into the air. With the vape, it doesn't do anything, it rests. You have to suck on it to get the vapor to go in. So when you smoke a cigarette, you only get a fraction of the total nicotine in the cigarette. And the vape juices can go really high on the nicotine. I mean, I've seen some where it's like 100 milligrams of nicotine per milliliter, which is like 50 cigarettes worth. And the same thing with THC. Traditional plant-based cannabis back in the 70s was only 1% THC. You can now get like 90-95% THC vape juice. It's just a lot more drug because the technology actually works better to get the drug into your system compared to joints or traditional cigarettes. So,
one thing with the black and mild, I was told to start smoking black and milds because it's like a vapor. It's more of a vapor than a cigarette. So I was smoking a black and mild with a cigar, and it was more of a vape, and it was more better than I think the weed or whatever else because it's more of like a natural vape than the actual electric that you charge up. You know what I'm saying? Putting that in the system with that pen in the lungs. That's totally different.
So cigarettes and cigars are interesting, right? So a cigarette has a butt, that's the little cotton filter, and a cigar is basically an unfiltered cigarette. So you actually you may get more tar and other chemicals from a cigar as compared to a cigarette because it doesn't have that filter. The safest is really like a nicotine gum or lozenge because you're not inhaling anything. And that's usually my recommendation to help stop is nicotine withdrawal. It's really uncomfortable. It takes people like 10 tries to quit. So yeah. Go ahead, Michelle.
Okay, I had a second part question about the fentanyl.
Oh, fentanyl, yes. You can use it. You can use it through your mouth. So you can eat it or drink it. You can snort it. You can smoke it, or you can put it into your veins. There's a lot of controversy about fentanyl in the skin. There is a patch made by a medical company that does allow fentanyl to go through the skin, but it takes 12 plus hours for it to go through, and it's a special chemical like matrix or a chemical gel they use to make it get absorbed. So if you touch fentanyl on your skin, it doesn't go through, but if you have a cut, it could go through, or if you have the patch and you put it on, it will go through. But really, most of my patients snort it, smoke it, eat it, or inject it. And I apologize, I've got a 10-10 patients. I've got time for one more question.
Okay, I have this question, Doctor.
Okay, yes, sir.
That question is, we might not be able to cover it. Maybe we need to go a little further, but we want to know, how do we activate our Narcan ability as well as prevent because it's being infused in everything. So isn't there a test that we can conduct to determine if fentanyl is in a substance? So we need to, if you're at the table and do it later, it's kind of important for us to know, because we're getting fentanyl. We're getting Narcan kits to administer. We want to know details about that, and we also want to know how to test to make sure that stuff that doesn't have fentanyl in it before someone ingests it.
Yeah, of course. So the first is they make fentanyl test strips. It's basically a little paper strip that you dip into a substance, and it will tell you positive or negative, like a COVID test, if it's got fentanyl in it. There's a little bit of some nuance on how to do it. So let's say, let's say that there's a pill, right? If you try to touch the fentanyl test strip to the pill, it won't register because it needs liquid. Basically, you have to dip it into liquid. It's kind of like with the COVID test, you have to put the dropper, and then the liquid goes up the test. So essentially, let's say somebody has a pill, you'd want to melt it all down in the liquid and then test the whole liquid. What people tend to do is they shave off a little piece because they don't want to waste the pill, but then you've only tested part of it. And because these fake pills are so badly made, the fentanyl's not evenly distributed in it. And then for Narcan, this is a box from my office. Each of these it comes with 2 of these little nasal sprays. And literally, you stick it in the person's nose, and then you press this little red plunger, and that's it. It's really easy.
Right on. All right, so thank you.
The only other thing about that is if you're going to give Narcan, they need to seek medical attention, because the Narcan wears off after about 35 minutes, and if they got a really bad overdose, they can re-overdose. And if someone got a really bad overdose, 1 or 2 sprays might not be enough. And then, so yes, I always say 100%, if you're giving Narcan, you've got to call 911, because they've got to go to the hospital, because they can re-overdose once it wears off.
Thank you, Dr. Grover. You know this is going to be a continued conversation. So and we're going to have you back, because there are also some more questions, and we have some young people that need to hear what you have to say.
All right, Michelle, thank you.
Dr. Grover.
Thank you, Dr. Grover.
And you have a good day, Dr. Grover.
You too. Yeah, thank you much.
Right.
Now, I pray that the message was received. I've ended this station because I know they're going to go on their own base opinion, and it'd be a frustration there for me, because I've tried that radio station, blog, whatever it was. Now it's on a Zoom, and they don't want to Zoom with me per se. They just want me to get on there and promote theirs. That's the head of the radio. Whatever it is. The young lady, Michelle, Miss Chocolate, she does have a child that's suffering with a fentanyl addiction. I have a lot of children that are suffering with fentanyl addiction. Because as you may know, Rev lives out the street to handle the P.I.G. Because God led me out here for a reason, not just a season. So I know with every season, things are going to be chaotic. Fentanyl didn't start in the 70s and 60s and none of that 80s, 90s. Whatever new drug has come to be is still yet, yes, the blame of the pharmaceutical company. Because they keep playing experimental tricks on everything they can get. I'm sure actual homeless people are inside of their test bin. They ain't just testing on no damn monkey. Too many homeless people can be exposed of without even knowing it. By John Does and Jane Does. So, when it comes to the area of drug addiction, something you just can't stop. Just can't stop. Like I mentioned to them, they put me on fentanyl. What's going on? They put me on fentanyl when I had my heart attack. But telling me that I was on fentanyl could have led me to go doing it. And like he said, well, we're recommended to tell everybody, but everybody shouldn't know it, period. You should ask everybody, do you want to know some of the drugs that you're on? Because we will make sure that you don't go chasing after it just in case, that you only give you what we prescribe to you, which Most things shouldn't be prescribed to people. That's because you don't want to give up all the remedies, the cures that they're out there. And I get it. I get it. Gotta make that money. Gotta make that money. A multi-gazillion dollar corporation, pharmaceuticals, is too huge to call huge. Supersonic size, you know what I mean? Because them one pills make it all the way across the nation. They all got the same pills in every damn store, every doctor, every clinic. So the masses is too great. Pills are made in America, China, and pills are made all over the damn place. So one recipe, everybody got a problem with cooking up their own food, making it taste the same. So you take one pill, like say whatever it is, fentanyl, and like you name like 5 or 6 fentanyls. I bet you it's about 50 to 100 fentanyl because they keep on trying stuff. And then something will not even leak out. They'll just sell it off like, man, I had this stuff at this lab, boy, and them fools going wild and out. They were just like stuck. But they came back around. You know, they didn't feel their pain. They, you know, all these stunt dummies. So the stunt dummy put it in the eyes of the devil so him can get it all out there through people that are just like, don't give a damn. You feel me? Because they just want to make their moolah. You know what I'm talking about? And that ain't, I won't even say it's not fair. Because if you're going to be a fool, there's nobody obligation to stop you. You know, a clinic is not supposed to just stop you. If you had the willpower to start, you got the willpower to stop. The devil starts you and God can stop you. Fact-based, period. So I love the commentary. I love the fact you can give a person what is that? Not morphine. What is what did he get? His name morphine. Morphine. They give him something in between. You know what I'm talking about? Methanol. Got a methanol clinic. So just another substitute to keep you going to the pharmaceutical. Period. Methanol, 150 bazillion %. Sure, every damn country got clinics and doctors that's giving it out too. So how much money they making off of that? $1 a pill? Time $1 billion? $1 billion. What? Sold every second. Or given. You know what I mean? A lot of things is here. Take it. We know that you need it. So we got you on some other stuff that you got to have it for. Come on, the catch-22 is nasty, dog. It's nasty, dog. Gotta think about it all. Nasty, dog. You know? I mean, I run the P.I.G. Pig. Guinea pig? Come on, man. Come on, man. Bless him, Lord. Bless the demonic spirits that keep doing this, Lord. When is going to be a time to where we're going to really get all the true secret herbs? And I'm sure it works for all cultures. But we got too many people working through Africa's old legends of Dr. Sebi and everybody else trying to pass around just a little bit of information. Like I'm on this little regiment that I don't take as I should. But I'll take it this morning. I'm going to start back in. Little cayenne pepper, little honey, little lemon juice, a little virgin olive oil. Mix that together in a little shot glass about yay big, right? Whoop. Not no big old, not no glass, you know what I mean? Not a whole cup. A little shot glass, right? Mix that together, boy. It's a little spicy, but it tastes good. You can throw it on some chicken. Just telling you for real, though. I ain't gonna lie to kick it. If I mix that up in a big old cup and I pour it over some chicken, I throw that thing in the oven or skillet, some vegetables, knock it off. I'll surprise you and your mama. You know what I'm talking about? I never knew. But anyway, drinking that actually clears out all of the toxins out of your body. It helps loosen up your little joints and all that. See, I know I need to be on it more because I'm getting old. I'm 58 years old. I'm going to be 59 on 420. You're telling me weed is bad. Hey, you know it's bad, but it ain't going to kill me like that. I ain't going to hit it and just puff, pass out. Bet you that. I promise you. Rev is not going to puff, and pass out. And I'll prove it to you starting right now. I ain't scared. I ain't scared. Come on back, doctor. I was hitting it while you was talking. Remember when I was blank off the screen? Blowing that cloud. Because on Jesus, it honestly brings me down. It makes me realize people get that, I guess, kind of same thing from the nicotine and feeling it brings you down. So if I'm too wound up, which I'm not really wound up right now, I just wanted to hit this thing. That, I just wanted to hit this thing. That, that'll just bring me down to a cool level. Stops my heart from racing. I don't know, because of smoke going, hold up. As much as I need to ask somebody, I don't want to ask nobody. Here I'm in a damn hospital, and the only nice message I get from my sister is it's proven fact that marijuana can kill you. I ain't in here because of that. You know what I'm saying? Shoot. I didn't die. So apparently wasn't, you know what I'm talking about? But everything can play a part of stuff. Just like the doctor said, when you're supposed to have things in your lungs, the only thing you're supposed to have is just clean air. So whether you're walking through a forest fire, by a burning building, or campfires, too much smoke is too much smoke. So I get that. So I did cut down. As you just see, I take a puff and I put it out. So yeah, I'm going to get off right now. And please like, share, and subscribe and pass this around, because fentanyl, just like crystal meth, just like heroin, just like PCP, just like angel dust, like crack cocaine, just like all drugs, they come and they go. How you doing there, Los? How you doing? Pray all is well today, young brother. The thing today was about fentanyl. I don't know if you tuned in, but I'm sure you can rewind it, play it over again. Doctor had a few good points. It was actually a real certified doctor, not just somebody we pulled off the back bush. My friend, which is like a closer sister than my own sister, got the doctor because her son is stuck on fentanyl. And she's like at her end wit. And I keep telling her, you're going to be at your end, your end of your casket, basically, man, I say that. Because she's got her kids, all of her kids, one of them locked up, possibly about to do 5 years or more. Another one's locked up. She got a few months. She's strung out on everything. She got a settlement. She went real crazy on like cocaine, and I think she's on crystal meth too. But she keeps taking in all the burden of her kids' testimony. And I'm like, look, girl, okay, girl, look, I know me, okay? I'm taking on too much for my homeless people, right? Because I want them to get right. I won't even say that the ending of their drug addiction is a total problem. Does that make sense? Oh, could you tell me that makes sense? Because I know so many people that are addicted to drugs that have a successful life. You know what I mean? So within that successful area of life, they continue doing their drugs. You know what I mean? Prayer and God will take you out of anything. I tell anybody, and I do everything in a joking kind of way because I want people to, let me try it. You know, give a special toast or cheer to God. Hold up your bubble. Hold up your straight shooter. Hold up your needle. Hold up your glass and toast it to God and say, take this hit with me, Lord. I know you want some of this heroin. I know you want some of this fentanyl. I know you want some of this, these pills. I know you want some of this crack. I know you want some of this, you know what I'm saying? God don't want that. So we got to think about what God wants for himself is all he wants for us. He wants us to live happy and healthy. And we're all addicted to being just stupid. You know what I'm saying? Just being stupid for no reason, too. You know? I'm doing all right, Los. I really am. Taking 1 second at a time, not every minute. Every second is really just, you know, the key. Because seconds add up to them minutes, and minutes add up to them damn hours, and hours add up to them damn days, and days up to add up to them weeks, and weeks add up to these months, and years go by. Like, whoa, we already in March. What's in your wallet? How are you doing there, Mr. Los? How's your health? How's your life? How's your financial areas? If finance is good, send me some money, man. I'm just trying to hold back on every nickel. I'm trying to save. You know, and for me, just a fool. I'm a wasteful dude. Really. I get money, I'm always looking at buying something that I don't need. Still broke and blessed. That's what I'm talking about. They go together. Both of them start with a B, right? I'm broke but blessed too. Amen. Hallelujah. I mean, because there's no separation of the two. Honestly. There really isn't a separation of the two. Because just because you're broke don't mean for sure that you're not blessed. And I tell people that all the time. Because they'll say, how are you? I'm like, I'm blessed. And I'm like, how are you? I'm all right. You're all right. Why you got to be all right and you're in a damn Ferrari? You talking about you all right. Shut up. You blessed. Or why you going to say you all right just because you sitting on a curb with dirt on it? You know, you're still blessed. You know what I mean? We got to really get past self. Because self is what really gets us caught up into what we feel we deserve. You know what I mean? Like we really, went all out of our way to deserve to be rich. You know what I mean? I know I don't go out of my way. And I want to be rich. But I don't go out of my way for it. You know what I mean? I really do. Hey, if you know me on here, y'all know me on here. I go out of my way to make sure I talk about God. And that's it, that's all. And that makes me feel rich. You know what I'm talking about? So, when we get that area, we got to really step back away from ourselves and understand. Understand what God has purpose in us for. Are we to be rich? Are we to stay poor? Are we to go through a drug addiction? Are we to go to that valley, the shadow of death, that, you know what I'm talking about? The belly of the beast? Through the furnace? Are we just supposed to be in, the Garden of Eden? La La Land. No, my name ain't La La. And I don't know that place. I know that this little hell on earth, ain't nobody mistook it yet. It is what it is. What you say there, Los? God still allows me to be on this earth. I'm forever grateful. You better believe it. And you better say that twice. Well, I actually read it for you, so that made it twice. So yes, I'm very thankful. You know, there's nothing I could actually say less of than being thankful. You know, so because of what God's doing for me, He's just not gonna do for everybody. right? I'm only gonna live my days, and so is everybody else. So the whole heading of the topic of this time was about fentanyl. So what do you honestly think in life that you would die from? Will it be an overdose? Will it be stress from depression and all this other stuff to give you a heart attack? Because I still don't know if they didn't tell me how I had a heart attack. Just had one, right? So was it just because I eat bad? Because I still eat bad. Was it because I hit it blunt too hard? Was it because I ate? I mean, yeah, it ain't but too much. You know what I'm saying? This is a food or a part of your lifestyle. And like I said, I don't smoke enough weed for that to do it. I don't really even eat that much in a day. But I know damn sure enough, if I still on here all day, y'all will really, really hear the whole inside and upside down of what's going on in my skull. What's really holding this brain that keeps tapping on my heart and making me think about something again. Because the only thing I ever think about, and I promise you, I put it on Jesus, the only thing I think about is making a difference. And that leaves me stuck because it ain't going on. I still see the same fools saying the same thing, doing the same fentanyl, trying some more drugs. I'm like, man, come on. You mean you went from crystal to fentanyl now? And now you're not on heroin? Wake your asses up. And I can't help but feel it all the way in my heart. This is not easy, y'all. I can't surrender my feelings. See? And a lot of people are like, you need to stop stressing and worrying. I can't. I don't worry about what I'm going through because my shit is so blah, blah, simple. You know what I'm talking about? But everybody else, what is your mama going through? Said, I'm going to love your mama. What is your daddy going through? I'm going to love your daddy. Your uncle, your grandparents, I'm going to love them too. Auntie, come on now. Your sister, your cousin, your coworker, your friend, the stranger that's up the street. Rev going to love on them, and I don't know how to let it go. Because I'll see them again, like I said, and it's like, damn it. Put me in just toe up land. You know what I'm saying? Toe up land. How do you fight the addiction of loving somebody? How do you fight the addiction of caring so much? Somebody give me, I don't even know if I got to dig it in the Bible. Give me a scripture, something. You know what I'm talking about? I need to find a cure for that. Because I've told and I've said and I've asked, every psychiatrist needs to see a psychiatrist. They take in so much information from all their clients. And they damn near go cray-cray. So when I get in front of a psychiatrist and I'm trying to give him mine, he giving me his. Because he see I got that kind of a juju that I can take in what you're talking about and give you a solution. They say you ain't got to go to school to become a psychiatrist. The first man or woman did not do that. I promise you. I promise you. That somebody sat down with somebody stupid and told them how not to be stupid. It shouldn't take us rocket scientists. And no, it's not. So it just takes a good heart and a good mind. It's just letting it go out of your heart and your mind once you're done with the garbage. That's what I'm stuck at. Stuck on stupid with it too, you hear me? I'm like, damn, I don't want to remember your problem no more. And damn, I got to see you again. Jesus Christ. Nobody deserves that punishment. I mean, it's something that it was divinely instilled in us to love. God said, love others as you love yourself. So if it's not hurting me because of you, then we both shouldn't be hurt. That makes sense, right? Wait, hold on. So if you give me something that hurting me and I let it hurt me, I'm the fool, basically, in a nutshell, right? And that's what I tell when people talk to me, I just That's the problem. I gotta really call him into the picture. Lord, take over. I don't want to hear no more. La 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 la. Whoa 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 whoa. Po 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 po. Gang 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 gang. Dong 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 no 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 no. Hey, how you do? Just cover your damn ears and tell them to talk to God and leave you the hell alone. That's the solution. That's my solution. That's my solution. Okay? I'm gonna say, hold up. Your ass is about to sit some fucking where? About to sit some fucking where? Get the fuck up on my face. And you're gonna go talk to God. Get the fuck away from me. Not now, but right now. Gone. If you believe, let him receive. You know what I'm talking about? That's what we gotta get, y'all. You hear me, Los? Don't take in too much, y'all. I'm telling you. That's the problem. I do. I'm guilty, and I told that to everybody already. It ain't because of me that I had no damn heart attack. It's because I'm yearning for this stuff. I just try to talk to the district attorney. I want to sue the city of Sacramento and all the United States. I'm going to get it. Somebody on here going to hear me talking. I need an attorney. A super attorney. They stole $24 billion from my homeless fund. My homeless fund. Not even my homeless people, because they don't know what to do with the money. REV know what to do with the money. I know what to do with some money. You give me enough money, man, please. Man, please. I'll rebuild this damn planet for you. Lord, you know what I'm talking about? God knows my spirit. He knows my desires, and he knows what can manifest through me. If I can get hands on deck and stop hands in their fucking pocket and then they, in their private parts, playing too much. Playing too much. Playing with people's lives. But I know it's supposed to happen, Lord. I'm not, you know what I'm talking about? I know we're supposed to live that. We got to live and die. If I can hit it right in the bullseye, the eye, everybody has a day of departure. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you know. I don't care how much you got. When your day is up, it's up. It's up. So for all you millionaires and billionaires and trillionaires that's probably on here watch your step. Watch your step. Slip on a marble. Slip on a banana. Fall down the steps. Fall off the edge of the cliff. Fall in the water. Get pushed in the fire. Get hung by a tree. Get shot in your face. Get stabbed in your neck. Get choked out with these hands. You know what I'm talking about? Drink the wrong drink. You know what I'm saying? You take some different pharmaceutical pills because you need that shit. You be the stun dummy. But I know all the stun dummies died around people, so they know they can take it what they can. They popping cures in their own system. There's not a billionaire that's not just purely healthy. You know what I'm talking about? Because he got the cure somewhere. Having sex with monkeys because he know he ain't gonna catch a monkey disease because he got a cure already. Now see how my little thing went? I'm like, I just hit it to calm down. I feel my heart, and I'm supposed to be wearing this little heart monitor thing. The thing annoys the hell out of me. And I got to call the company. They need to come out with some other kind of material, some kind of other something. Because the thing annoying my damn skin got me scratching and itching all day. Made me think I got the cooties. I've got to go, but have a good day. I'm always going to have a good day, Los. I'm going to have a blessed day. And it's good because God is good all the time. And all the time, God is good, Los. Take him with you. Take him with you. I'm sharing some of him to go with you today, all right, Los? Peace, love, and blessing to you, young man. And let God do his thing through your walk. through your talk, through your entire existence. Let God be the head. You just follow with your tail wagging. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. But, yep, I think I'm going to get off here to a minute, an hour and 24 minutes and 52 seconds. Nobody give me $1. I need $1 from everybody that said it's $sign P.I.G. Express. You'll see homeless for heaven. I need that. God needs that. Let's get it in. Do I got to send the first $1? Jesus Christ. Send $1 to myself just like pastors put in their own pot. I put in my own pot. Trust me, it's called a gas tank. Got to keep moving. Peace, love, and blessings to you all. I'm Rev, the one they used to call Paul. Not no more.